What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Gray Space. I'm Zeke. That is Dre.
Yepers.
And we got another fire podcast for you guys this week.
Yes. Just me and my good brother Zeke this week. And before we get going on any type of topics, y'all know what to do. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, and tell their grandmama to tell their great grandmama, and then tell their grandson, and so on and so forth. Okay, pull up to the Gray Space. All the listeners out there, my Spotify people, my Apple Podcast people, the Google Plays of the world, wherever you getting your podcast, make sure you leave a 5-star review. I want to say I just looked at the numbers. I see y'all leaving these 5-star reviews on Apple and Spotify. I appreciate it. Okay, continue to do so. Continue to tell your friends to do so. Leave the 5-star reviews. It helps us so much. Now.
Yeah, you know what, man? When I started, we haven't done a What You Heard in a while.
I know you thought,
and I was thinking we were doing a What You Heard because we usually facing the front of the camera right here, bro.
So for the people that are listening, we got a brand new setup over here at the Z Studio. And we'll have a similar setup at the DB Studios real soon. Mm-hmm. So we are getting adjusted to how this looks. Normally, for those who only listen, Zeke and I are normally directly across the table from each other. We're looking at each other deep into each other's eyes, reading each other's soul. You know what I'm saying? It's deep connection there. And now we're sitting next to each other. We don't know what to do because we normally do this with What You Heard. But we're going to figure it out. For the people who have been watching us, let us know. Leave a comment below. Do you like the new setup? Yeah. Do we need to do something different? You know what I'm saying?
Camera 1, camera 2. Well, they can't see me in that camera, but you know.
I will say this, as we continue to grow, you know, these things get costly, man, as we continue to get better, you know, and you know, we try to make a little bread, you know, whatever. But we are looking to upgrade some of the equipment, get better cameras, get more mics, just get better. We here at the Gray Space, myself, Dre, Zeke, my brother, we are always looking to forever get better equipment, better shots, you know, jump up to the 4K, start going live. Some of these things, we got a lot of great things planned. Hit that Cash App, man. Hit that Cash App. The Cash App is in the link tree. Hit the Cash App. Hit your boys with a little bit of bread if you rocking with the podcast. We're not begging. We just asking.
Right.
And all this money will be used for us to just upgrade, to get better. Y'all want to see the 4K? Your boys ain't balling like that. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it real, you know? So
wish we were balling like that, man.
Continue to support the podcast. We appreciate y'all. Now, I want to talk about something, man.
Okay.
It's really been on my heart, my mind. I kind of talked to you about it the other day. And it's something that we have to deal with as we get older.
Yeah.
This issue of the M word. Mortality. I say fatality, mortality. Something that becomes more prevalent the older you get, the longer you are blessed to be alive and breathing this fresh air that or even this toxic air, you know what I'm saying? Right. Depending on where you at, you know?
Right.
The longer we are able to live on this earth, mortality seems to be facing us, you know, by the day. But it seems to me that, at least for me personally, that it's become such a super prevalent thing to think about because you're just seeing people leave. And it seems like, you know, take the faith and take all that stuff out of it. It seems like it's too early. It seems like it's too soon. And it seems like it's an overabundance. It seems like every time you turn on the news, every time you get on your social media, somebody else has passed. Somebody has died from this and passed away from this and got shot. And it's like, can we just slow the hell down?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it makes you think about your own mortality. And it's easy to say, live this life like, you know, the next day is not coming. It's easy to say that, but we all have responsibilities. We all have things that we have to do every day. People that depend on us, us just depending on ourselves and trying to get better. And I think that that's a difficult thing to do. But man, is it me, or is this a real thing that's happening right now?
So the way this started, I'm going to answer your question, but shout out to rest in peace to my friend Tom Farmer, who recently just passed a couple days ago from cancer, lost his battle to cancer. Cancer go fuck themselves. And so this is kind of how we kind of ended up on this topic for today. And yeah, it's a weird thing because I'm not sure if it's because we are getting older, right? That it seems a little bit more in the face, right? Now, when you're a kid, sometimes you lose grandparents or whatever, and it's almost like, or even great grandparents at that, and I'm not saying that it's expected, but it's almost a little bit like, yeah, they were in their, 80s or whatever, like their time came, whatever. But I want to say, man, it just seems like there's more of it than usual. And I have to kind of blame social media for it.
Okay.
And I think the reason is because everything is in our face today, right? So you get firsthand information constantly, right? So, whether the Japan earthquake, the New Year's Day, and then the plane colliding in Japan that was doing which we talked about. Then, it's the Icelandic, volcano that erupts. Yeah. And you're just like, man, we only like 12 days into this thing.
Right.
What are we doing here?
Right. Right.
So it is, to me, a huge portion of that is from social media because it's in your face. And then obviously, the Facebooks and stuff like that, right? Where you have friends of friends of friends, right? And acquaintances, people that you've went to a birthday party with, so it's people that you actually know, right? And maybe not know super well, but you still know in some sort of an acquaintance capacity. And you're like, damn, no way. And usually back in the day, what you would find out is when you would meet up again or get a phone call from the friend that was like closer to that, right? And maybe you wouldn't find out for days or whatever, but just depending on how close you were to that particular person. But yeah, man, I just think it is definitely more our face, and I feel like we're getting too used to it as well. I think that's the other side of it. I think we even talked about it, I think, with the Cat Williams thing. You asked me the question, will this, stick around? We're of two different minds on this one. You think it's going to stick around for a while. I don't think so. Okay. I think we're already starting to see that fade a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
But, I mean, it could. I could be proven wrong, or I could be proven right, where people are going to go, Cat Williams, what happened?
Right.
What happened in June or July?
Right.
What happened? You know what I mean? So, again, and then it's also, I feel like the mourning process is a quick turnaround
100%.
as well, right?
100%.
Like it's, you think, like it's almost like you think about that person and maybe how you interacted for that particular day. You go like, okay, I remember, and then you just kind of move on.
Yeah, I think all great points, man. Like I think that, and that's kind of the dilemma that I've been thinking. I'm like, is it that it's more than we've seen in the past, or is it that we just know about it more because of social media? And obviously, like you said, friends and friends of friends. A lot of times in the past, you weren't finding this news out until, the next time you talk to that person, which was normally a phone conversation or at the next event that you guys ran into each other. And it's not only that. I mean, you look at it with proximity, you would say, okay, the people around you, the people that you know, that you love, and then that extended proximity of the people that they love, that blah, blah, blah. But then you also look at the world in total and maybe the entertainment business, right? And just those that are in the public eye. I mean, you're seeing celebrities people that we grew up watching that are still very young, in their 60s, right? In their 50s and 60s. I mean, I remember being a kid, thinking 50 and 60 years old. And now as I get older, I'm not there, but it's like we're already almost through January in 2024.
Right.
We're going to be in January of 2025 after we blink, take a shit in the shower.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that's no joke.
Time moves a lot quicker, and it's just like, but you're just seeing people die. And to your point, you do almost become punch drunk to it. You're just numb to it because you're like, it's almost like watching the news. Like, remember how people always joke, like, you're watching the news and it'll be like, kid saves a puppy from a railroad, and then the next 5 stories are like, somebody got shot, something burned down, somebody was ran over, just like straight turmoil. You know what I mean? Man. Yeah, and that's how it feels. I feel like every time I'm turning on social media, it's like, rest in peace.
Yeah, for sure. And there's something, and I really want to research this. I didn't get a chance to do it yet, and because it just kind of popped back in my brain again, is I heard something, and I'm not sure how true about what I'm about to say is actually true, but they're actually saying the newest generation, Gen Z, is actually aging
quicker. I've seen
way quicker. Now, I want to see like a scientific paper, or I want to
I haven't validated that yet.
Yeah. I haven't either. I've just seen some videos on it and take it with a grain of salt, right? But I find that interesting still, if it is like somewhat true, right? Like if it is like a more majority, like 60% or even 50 or whatever, is aging a little bit faster. And they're saying the reason is because of social media stuff. Okay. Everything being thrown at them, right? You see more and more. So you got more stresses of the world that we'd never had before, right? So you see these things, like I said in the basically the top of the show here was, you see the earthquakes, the plane crashes, the tsunamis, the whatever, and you take it in, right? Okay. And we're taking it in as well, but yet we lived for so long where we didn't hear any of that unless you read a newspaper, Time magazine, right? Something like that, right? And you would get the news. Maybe you're getting the news on that stuff, right? Right. Just depending, right? There was always the world section, right, of a newspaper or something like that. But most of it was local. I mean, even the New York Times or LA Times or something like the big, Washington Post or whatever big, it's political. It's, more of what's happening in our own particular country, not necessarily everything that's going on in the world. So I do find that interesting. And I will make a promise that somewhere along the lines, maybe do a little update of like what we found out about the Gen Z, because I think that would be another interesting topic to get into of younger people actually aging and what are the actual reasons behind that? Is it actually because of that? Is it because of the environment that we're living in?
And here's why it's such a crazy thing to me, right? Because like, think about the people that are now in their like 80s. They grew up in a world where like smoking was okay inside of facilities.
Right. Most restaurants. Everywhere.
There was a point where if you were an athlete, a professional athlete, you might go in the locker room at halftime and burn a Marlboro Red.
Right.
Not half the if not more, of the Major League Baseball was chewing tobacco, right? And now it's like it's such this health conscious thing, which is great. Like, that's phenomenal. I think it's something that we all need to be more tapped into. I personally have talked about it that that's one of my goals this year is to be more tapped in my own personal health. You know, but it's kind of like, okay, well, if there's such this awareness. Now, how come them motherfuckers live till 80?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's kind of this give and this take, this yin and this yang of like, what is healthy? What is good? What is the secret sauce? And the honest truth is none of us know.
Right.
But it is crazy to think like how many people that we've heard of passing away. And look, diseases are diseases and anybody can get got. Anybody can get got by any type of disease at any moment. Like it just is what it is, especially the number one, cancer. Cancer is a motherfucker and it takes names and it kicks asses. And if you make it out of the ring alive, thank God. Right. But it's just crazy because it's like you're seeing people fall off and you're like, man, that dude was all right.
And two, I feel like we're seeing a lot younger people fall off.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like 40s and 50s, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Correct. And that it is crazy to me, man. Like that's another, it's a weird hole to go down, right? Because it's just like, what is the answer to that?
What is the answer?
Because I'm not sure there is one. So I did do a little, my mind did get a little, like kind of going on this because we kind of talked about, okay, probably want to bring this up, you know? And my first thought was, is the population actually decreasing? Right. So that was my thought. Like, are we actually losing like the birth to death ratio? By the way, if you guys and I have heard of Worldometer, fascinating stuff here, man.
Okay.
So the current
Hold on. I'm glad you're bringing this up because I was just looking this up and I was trying to find it. So thank you.
Yeah. So worldometer.com, I believe is what it is, or .info. So, and it's a continual ticker, right? So I'm watching it live right at this moment. We have 8 billion people on this planet right now.
Jeez.
Right? So, and it's going up at a very fast pace. And so births this year is at 7.2 million, right? And deaths this year is only at 3.2. So it's only half. It's only half. So we're actually losing less people.
Okay.
Than
by the numbers.
Than by birth rate.
Okay.
Which is shocking. That was actually, dude, when I'm looking at it now, I'm still shocked by this. Now, and the reason I am is because everything that you hear is birth rates are way down. And maybe they are in this particular country. Maybe in the U.S., it is actually less. But maybe around the world, it has still continued and maintained.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know the answer to that. But I just find that fascinating that we're at 8 billion and there are actually double of births as there are deaths. Okay. So we're actually losing less people than I thought. And I think, again, I'm going to go back. I think it has a lot to do with the information that is fed to us, right? And again, I'm not bashing social media in that sort of sense. I mean, I because I brought up Facebook in particular, right? Because it's usually that's where a lot of older people hang out is Facebook, right? Yeah. And it's been around probably the longest, if I'm not mistaken, at this point.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people like on there that will maybe share somebody who has passed away.
Right.
And so anyways, it's just, it makes my mind go, okay, so what's going on here?
But I wonder what that number is compared to maybe previous years. Like just the death rate.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Would be great. That would be great to know.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like,
pull it up, but
I feel like though, you know, because this is obviously the world. The world is this Worldometer .info is basically giving you world statistics.
Right.
What that means per country, who knows? Maybe it is slowing down here. Maybe there's more deaths here in the United States than there are birth rates. Right. But maybe in Europe, it's the opposite. You know, maybe that's where we're getting. I don't know.
And I there's another kind of story that's personal to me. That, you know, I have good friends of mine that just recently lost their young daughter. I mean, very young.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'm not going to divulge the whole story, but basically it seems like something that could have been taken care of. You know, did everything right, wasn't feeling right, went to the doctors, blah, blah, blah. And in the interim, while they were waiting, passed away before anything could be found. Right. And so, and I think, you know, with the addition of COVID, entered into our lives, you know, that's obviously a way that a lot of people go. You know, I don't know wherever you guys are at in the world right now, but, you know, there's been like this respiratory thing that's been going on that's not like full blown on COVID. It's not a flu. It's not a cold. It's just like a respiratory infection. Everybody and their mom has been getting it out here. You can't avoid it.
Right.
It's just in the air.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, it always goes to like, okay, like we check these certain things, but then like we're not checking other things. And it's like, okay, so how much of this stuff is also avoidable? Like how many of these deaths are avoidable? You know what I mean? They're not due to any type of underlying condition. They're not due to any type of, you know, it's just like we're not checking for the right things. And in those precious moments where we could easily fix something, we're not fixing it. You know what I mean? And that's not to blame anybody. You know, I mean, every situation is different, and I don't think that, I think that most healthcare you know, people who are in healthcare, doctors, nurses, I think most of them are really, really trying to do a good job. I think most of them do a great job. You know,
can I say something like kind of to put a slight different take on that as well?
Okay.
I agree. I think for the most part, I think doctors do what they can, right? But I also feel like it's a lot of it is on us as well, right? Okay. And what I mean by that is, I feel like people are not in tune with their own bodies much anymore, right? Or they're afraid to say something. So if you feel, I really truly believe this, man. If you really feel like, man, I have this gut pain constantly, go tell the doctor that that's where that pain is, right? Because if you just go in saying something's wrong, I don't feel well, and you don't say anything about like what's going on, what you're feeling, what, you know, specifically is happening to you, it can be overlooked, right?
That's true.
And I'm not saying across the board, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying in particular, I'm not saying we have to get totally holistic either.
Right.
All I'm saying is I think we should be paying a little bit closer attention to what's going on with us, right?
100%.
You know, I give you a quick little example, bro. Like, I got really ill last week, right? And I even told you about it. I was like, man, something's weird. Something's going on. You know, and I had talked to my mom about it and everything, you know, after the fact. But I was like, I was going through it. And I was like, man, this is very bizarre. I don't know what's happening with me. You know, I was like, man, I don't like the way I feel. Something just told me to sweat it out. And I'm not saying that that's a remedy you should do. Right. Listen, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving any advice. I'm not saying you should do this. I'm just saying listen to yourself sometimes, right? I got as hot as I could, man. I just did. It worked for me personally. I kicked it in a day. Now, I'm not saying that works every time. I'm not saying that it's, but I just listened to myself and I was like, I got to do this. Something is telling me, because all day I wasn't free. I didn't have chills. I wasn't cold.
Right.
I didn't have a fever.
Right.
I wasn't, it just something told me like, get as hot as you can to like sweat this out. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it actually worked. I actually broke whatever I had. It took almost all day to get to that point. But anyways, I think listening to yourself is a key point, right? And then again, if you tell yourself, okay, this is going on with me, I'm going to go to urgent care, I'm going to go to the ER, I'm going to go to my doctor, physician, you know, and specifically say, hey, look, these are the symptoms I'm having. Help me out with this. You know what I mean? So I think it's a twofold type of situation. I think,
definitely is. It definitely is. I agree with you there. I just think it's just crazy, man. Like, again, I don't know if it's social media. I mean, think about when Kobe passed, we got the information like that.
Instantaneously.
Right? Like, it was so fast that we thought it was fake.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just that we're getting older. I mean, obviously that has something to do with it because the older you get, you're going to lose people. I mean, as longer, if you have the opportunity to stay on this earth as long as possible, the longer it gets, the more you're going to lose, right? I mean,
yeah.
It's why, you see these movies about these guys who go immortal and then like by year 300, they're like, yeah, you think it's all cherries, but I didn't had 300 years of losing people. You know what I'm saying? Sci-fi and shit. But, yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. It's just really had me like, not in a funky ass mood, but just in a thoughtful place of like,
yeah, damn,
like, and it's almost like, cause then the old saying is death comes in threes, right? So you're like, okay, well then who the fuck is next? Can you just slow the fuck down?
Right.
Can I enjoy a little bit more time with the people, with these people? And and it's just tough, man, because it just, and it just seems like it's just, okay, you get 2 weeks of goodness and and like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know either, man. I don't know what it is. And I definitely feel it. And again, I think it's, I think this is a two-sided coin in a sense. It's we're getting older, so we're seeing it more, right? You're more aware of it. I think you're more, and the more people that the more that you're going to know that you're going to lose too, right?
Yeah.
And then, I'm going to say one more thing about nobody knows you like you. And that's why I said what I said, to finish my thought about, really kind of knowing yourself or, losing touch. Nobody knows if your shoulder hurts. I've never felt this pain before. This is weird. Get it looked at.
Right.
One way or another.
Right.
Do yourself a favor and do not ignore yourself.
Do your
yeah, because nobody else is going to look out for you, bro.
Right.
Nobody. I don't know how you feel.
Right.
You could say fine to me, and a lot of people do. Just passing by, oh yeah, I'm good. When they feel like absolute garbage.
Shit.
And sometimes it's stuff you can take care of on your own, right? Of just eating better or drinking more water. And again, I'm not saying these are all solutions. I'm not a doctor. But listen to yourself, and get there with yourself. So,
yeah, I'm interested to see what the people out there, let us know in the comment section below. How do you guys feel? Are you guys seeing it the same way? Are you guys seeing a lot of RIPs out there? Is it? Do you feel like it's more than normal? Do you feel like it's the normal amount? Do you feel like social media has kind of accentuated that and exaggerated it a little bit? Or is it just, are we just going through life and we're just seeing it more because we're getting closer to it? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Let us know in the comment section below. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you guys stay safe. You guys stay positive out there.
And as always, this is The Gray Space. Peace.